by Veteran Rescue Mission on 1030 The Voice.
Yes, sir.
Radio
Yes,
show,
ma'am. Oh, that's right.
Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Andrew with Daddy, John McClain, Tristan, and Matt.
I just stepped all over that. My bad, Andrew. Man. Okay. After we're gonna have Tristan. I mean, we got, like he said, we got a packed studio here. We have Tristan. Tristan's gonna do the next break, but the following one, I know you're gonna knock it out of the park. It's gonna be like Ken Griffey's home run derby today. I feel it. I feel it. Yeah. Well, we had the home run derby this past weekend, so yeah, it was exciting. Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you know of this guy with the Nationals right now, but he's out of Japan, and he's like the new Babe Ruth.
Really?
Like really.
Dang.
Really?
Okay.
Because he was like, he's the leading home run hitter in the league right now, and he's the leading pitcher in the league.
What?
Yes.
That's insane.
So he's leading the All-Star game, and the pitching lineup is a starting pitcher, and he's leading the batting lineup.
Dang, that's crazy. I'm going to check that out, man.
Yeah. So that aside, that's for another show, the
Yeah, there you
Sports
go.
Talk
Yeah,
Radio with Andreas and Pastor John McClain. But as Mr. Andrew said, this is the Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McClain here with my buddy, my pal, the motivator in my life, Andreas Ruiz, with I Believe in Myself. Me and my son Tristan, who is also here, are wearing his shirt.
Love the shirts.
in love of what he does, because we believe in ourselves, right?
Yes. There you go.
And he's the man who made it so. This radio show wouldn't be so if it wasn't for the motivation of Andreas and I Believe in Myself. So go I Believe in Myself coaching.
IBelieveInMyself.org.
IBelieveInMyself.org.
Yes.
For information.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And we also have Mr. Andrew in here, which is don't call him cute, because, sir, he is not cute. He is freaking cool. We got a cool dude in here, and I'm proud to be in studio with him. And we have some really awesome guests in studio with us. We have Matt Clauer with Gap Ministries. Later on in the show, we're going to have Candice Waller with True Counseling. I know she's always a fan favorite. We'll talk about issues in relationships and what couples can do to kind of get through those things, something that we don't consider as much, but I'm excited to touch on those issues once again. But this would not be the Common Good Radio Show if I didn't give it up to a very amazing Father, a great Lord that continues to bless me. I mean, even though he's certainly put me through plenty of tribulations to teach me, make me strong, make me better, and I thank him for that. But in this modern day, man, Lord, you continue to outdo yourself in blessings and rewarding me for the good work of helping to serve others. So I will thank you once again at the beginning of this very Common Good Radio Show with the Lord's Prayer. And it goes a little something like this. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Man, every time it gets me, man. I don't know what it is. It's like I just got to take a breath, because it's like that's as much as we have a good time on this show and we joke around and we try to make light of stuff, like the blessings that God give us. Those are serious. So I definitely want to make sure that we're people know we're not kidding. Like God's good all the time. So. And that being said, let's talk to somebody from what I know to be a very godly organization, doing certainly God's good work all around this city, all around this county, probably in some capacity all around this state and more. We have Matt Clauer here in studio with us with Gap Ministries. Thank you, Matt, for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
So over the year we've been doing this show, we just had our 1-year anniversary last week. We've had Gap Ministries on this show probably at least 10 of those 12 months.
That's awesome.
And every time we have someone on Gap on, we ask them, what is Gap Ministries? Let's just say I'm John Q. Public, never heard of Gap Ministries before, which is like surprisingly enough more common than not. Like this show was built for like the realization that organizations like Gap Ministries aren't getting their due. Like what is Gap Ministries?
Well, Gap Ministries started as a group home for children, and 10 years ago we moved to Flowing Wells and Miracle Mile and opened up 50,000 square foot warehouse to serve the community.
Mm-hmm.
So we partner with local nonprofits to do a food ministry. We also partner with key people in Tucson. So if you're a senior over 65, if you're a refugee, if you are an Access insurance card holder, if you're someone that's been in the military that has an ID, if you're foster parents, kinship, you can come down to the community warehouse and take advantage of just really just a ton of different household items. So we have everything from clothing, small appliances, health and beauty, toys, dog food, bedding, baby things. All those are free to you. You can come and shop once a month, but you have to be a part of those organizations. Just not just anybody can come down. So the warehouse is open Mondays. We're closed Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 to 2. And you can come down and get some great stuff. We have some great partners that we get our things from. Our number one partner is Walmart. So pretty much anything in that store we'll have in our warehouse.
Nice.
And then we also just brought on Costco. So
nice. That's a good partner to have.
It is a good
and that's
partner.
where the unplug and play thing comes, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yes.
Well, but first, you're touching on, I think it's a new thing. I mean, Veteran Rescue Commission, we've been working as a partner with Gap Ministries for a while now. And I know just recently with the Community Warehouse, you expanded who you allowed to use the services to allow military personnel or veterans rather to use those services. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, we'd really like to highlight this today. We really want, if you served in the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines, Air Force, any of those, let's say you're not serving today, but you served in the past, that's fine. Just please come in and see us. We want to honor your service by opening it up to you guys and men and women. We only have about 3 or 4 people that come a month from all the different militaries. So we'd really like to increase that. We'd really like to see a couple hundred. Like I said, we just have things in the warehouse that we think we can get out in the community, and I hate seeing it on my shelves when I know it can be benefiting the local Tucson community. So really we just want people to come in and choose the things that their life might be enriched by. Is really what we want to do. I just want to make sure I highlight though, if you used to be in service and you're not anymore, that's okay. You don't have to have the veteran ID, You can just have the regular military ID and just bring that in. We'll match it up with your driver's license. You can shop once a month. You get $25, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for example,
Welcome to the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by the Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Tristan. I'm here with Pastor John McLean, Andrew Ruiz and his son, and our guest, Matt.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah, he's told me that he actually practices at home. So
nice.
yeah, he's really got it down to a science.
That's good.
But Andresito or Andrew, he's pretty dope too, man. Like, I'm really excited for their radio show one day. Kids Talk with Andrew and Tristan.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited. So before we left, we were talking about how the community warehouse of the Gap Ministries was just opened up to veterans, and primarily definitely being a veteran that helps other veterans, being a veteran that constantly as having to rib my other veteran buddies and tell them, hey, man, you got some benefits. You got stuff out there that you got to take advantage of. Like, I know we may not be the happiest with our experience, or maybe we are the happiest, but there's stuff out there that you got to really kind of connect with, and those communities you got to connect with. And then definitely Gap Ministries for me was a big one, whether it was volunteering in the culinary kitchen with Chef John, or whether it was helping in the community warehouse and the 22 different nonprofit organizations that pick up like 10,000 pounds of food every Tuesday, or whether it was my nonprofit organization that we help house homeless veterans, and we run a homeless veteran shelter, getting those little basic things that we need to kind of keep things afloat. And I'll tell a quick little story about a 71-year-old vet that we had that had dementia that we took care of for 2 years. He's in assisted living by the grace of God now, but for months all that he could really eat was Ensure. And because of the partnership we had with you guys, and because of the vouchers we were able to get to you, Rodney was able to eat well, and Rodney was well taken care of because of that Ensure you guys provided.
Awesome.
So it was a big deal. And so I guess kind of like, just so we make sure we do the due diligence, kind of touch on what's happening now at the community warehouse, and the best way that people can support it, people can connect with it, and really explain what's this amazing community warehouse.
Yeah. So obviously, you guys, if you want to donate financially, you can go to gapmin.com and donate there. If you want to come and give of your time, we don't ask a lot. One day a week, if you want to come down, we serve lunch at 11:30. So if you want to volunteer one day a week from 9 to 2, we'd love to have you. You don't have to be able to lift 50-pound boxes and push pallet jacks around. You can operate our little cash register checkout that tracks kind of what people purchase. You can help by stocking shelves. You can help by testing appliances. So because we want to make sure that the things we're providing are working. The last thing we want to do is you come down, you pick out something that you want, and you're excited to be blessed by it, and you get it home and it doesn't work. So there's lots of different things that we can use that you can come down and help with. We will even take, if I know kids are home because of summer right now. If your kids are over 16, they can come down and volunteer with you. It's not a huge process. There's a single-page volunteer sheet that we ask you to fill out before you volunteer, but don't feel like you have to come down or go on the website and fill things out. You can come down, take 3 or 4 minutes, fill that thing out, and we'll put you to work same day. Probably the only requirement is that you wear closed-toed shoes to come and volunteer. It's a little warm right now. It's evaporative cooling, but also with the COVID thing, it's kind of nice because it's open door, it's airy. You're not working on top of one another, so you feel like you can get some space and things like that. So we really feel like we have a lot of opportunities for just anybody to come and to be able to make an impact.
Yeah, and I'm guessing probably at this point, and you mentioned in COVID-19, you're kind of recovering from that from your volunteer base.
Yeah.
Like I'm guessing, I know I saw it firsthand. We used to volunteer ourselves regularly every Wednesday with Chef John.
That's
and
awesome.
I just saw it go from, a whole bunch of people were there with us where we're kind of like the only brave souls left after a while. So how has that looked? You guys kind of recovering from that and getting volunteers back?
Yeah, I would say we do, even though we're closed on Tuesday, Tuesday's a big stocking day for us. So I would say our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are strong. Our Mondays and Fridays are kind of weak with people coming in. So if you're available on a Monday or Friday, that would be huge for us. But I would say, everybody's started to come back. We have a decent core group of people that are coming, but we can always use more. It never ceases to amaze me how many people it takes just to make the thing run and make the community warehouse work. And many hands make light work. So more people that you
You
can
love
have.
that saying of mine, don't you?
Yep,
Yeah.
It's a lot of
I
heads
said that to
nodding
him
in here.
about 5 years ago, and he's like, "What'd you say?" And I was like, "What? I didn't say anything about your mother." What? Yeah.
Yeah, like I was painting the inside of my house over the weekend, and it's not that I needed help to do it, but just having my son come up and hang out for a couple hours and run the roller while I did the trimming, it just totally changed my outlook from like a grueling kind of like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna get this done today, to like we hammered it out. So
So
it makes a big difference.
a little curveball. What's like a kind of like a story or an experience you've had working the community warehouse, or is just like, oh, okay, this is why I'm doing it. Like this is where why I was put here.
Yeah, I think for me, Tuesday, you touched on it a little bit when we do the food distribution, and different nonprofits come in and we help load 1,000 to 2,000 pounds on their trucks, and then when I get to go and see them hand out the food, it just it's incredibly rewarding, because sometimes you take things and you put things on the shelf and you just don't really connect that for what that means to somebody in the community. But when you go to that church and there's 150 people lined up to get whatever it was that you brought in, that's when it really kind of hits home, when you get to really see that kind of ground level need being fulfilled. It's cool.
Yeah. I agree.
I agree with you. Like, just being there is just so much more powerful than just sending money somewhere, but to actually see that in person is just so much more powerful, I think.
Yeah, I mean, people could be like praying for things that we brought in on the semi truck on Monday, and God has orchestrated that need to happen on Tuesday. And so I really just try to give everybody who's working in the warehouse that mentality that you're answering people's prayers here. It's a big deal.
For sure. Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah. And this is in the non-pre-recorded show world. I'm in the middle of sleeping on the street right now, just for that very reason, because I want to be there where where the need is, and I want to go there. And something I do. This is my 10th year I've been doing it. And I want to go there again and provide that need during the.
Welcome to the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Andrew here with Daddy John McClain, Tristan, and Candice.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. Okay,
Yes.
You're hired.
Yeah.
What do I
You
owe
got
you?
the job. I'm out of here. I'm
Yeah.
leaving.
How much money? How much do you charge for
How much
your
do you charge?
services?
How much?
A trillion.
Oh goodness. Well, actually, you're not hired. You're fired.
Kitty, $5.
$5. Okay.
$5.
You got
Okay, that's
$5.
fair.
All right, cool.
That's definitely fair. Yeah. And as he said, we have Candice Waller here in studio with us. She is our resident counselor here to help solve all of our mental woes. I like the way I describe it to my children is that a medical doctor helps deal with the problems, what's wrong with your body in a nutshell, and a counselor or a therapist deals with the problems in your brain.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's what I do. It's so funny when I have a niece, she's 14, and when she was 10, I was trying to describe to her like what I do for a living, And she's like, but you're not like a doctor with like a broken arm. I was like, no. And she's like, so what do you do? And I was like, people pay me to keep their secrets. She was like, oh, I never, like her little 10-year-old mind was kind of blown.
That's funny.
No, because at 10, you know what a secret is. So she was like, people
Interesting.
pay
That's a
you?
good.
The more I think about it, it's a little bit twisted. but it's, you know, it
She
happens.
understood.
Yeah, because like priests and pastors, like pastor, we get secrets, you know, but we don't get paid for the secrets
No.
necessarily. Granted, people, you know, they pay us to tithe and stuff like that, but it's an interesting thing. Like, at least like, you guys are upfront with it. Like, okay, I got your secrets. Pay me $150 an hour. Let's get real with it. Yeah. Okay, I get it. But that aside, let's hold that, keep that our secret. And
Sure.
listening audience, here we are. And so tell us, again, you've been on the show. Is this second time?
I think so, yeah.
Second time. Second time to the
Mhm.
show. And for those who have never heard of True Counseling before, or completely brand new to it, what is True Counseling?
True counseling is a counseling practice that works with couples who are just trying to get their life or get their relationship back on track. I work with people who are engaged, who are looking for premarital counseling, those who are post-marital, which are people who have been married for less than 3 years and who are still trying to figure out a stability in their marriage, and then just regular married couples who've been married for more than 3 years, just trying to navigate a new path for themselves.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say is like the specialty of True Counseling? It's like couples as a whole.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
couples as a whole, families as a whole. I definitely believe, you know, in order to have a strong community, you need a strong family. In order to have a strong family, you need a strong partnership. So
Mm.
that's how I look at it.
Yeah. And to keep that partnership strong, like amongst the family, like let's say like it's a mom and a dad and some kids, like what do you feel are like maybe 2 to 3, you know, key ingredients that you could give to people to keep that strong bond?
I think the first one is probably just communication. That's probably what I see the most when people come in. People think that conversations are just kind of like a one-all, be-all, and the conversation is over, and not realizing that conversations are forever going. So you have to understand, like, there is a possibility you may be having the same conversation for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years. But as long as you guys are making progress in that conversation, that's all that really matters. And then the second one, I would probably think, especially for those who have kids, it's just the structure of the family. Oftentimes, you know, when children are born, everyone feels that you're supposed to put the children first. In reality, you're supposed to keep your partner first, because if you and your partner don't see eye to eye, then the kids will not be healthy or have the structure they need. And so sometimes putting the kids first accidentally allows the partners to grow apart because they're focusing on the children and not focusing on the partnership. So the partnership comes first, and then the kids are second. And then the third one, I think just money management is probably one. All of us come into marriages or relationship with a different money story, just depending on how we were raised. Some people are raised to be super duper savers, and then other people are like, you can't take it with you, so just spend it all. So sometimes that money management can clash, which also kind of spills into communications, also spills into how you rear your kids, because some people feel like they want their kids to have the top of the line, and then someone else is like, oh, they're going to grow out of it in 6 months, they don't need the top of the line. So all of that can kind of, those are probably like the top three things I see the most.
So kind of like the whole money thing. I know that's a big one for a lot of people. They struggle with that. And, you know, in order for us to overcome these money blocks, like what would you say have been some experiences, some breakthroughs that you've had with people to overcome those money blocks? Do you have any, like, just,
Well, yeah, sometimes just simple budgeting and really just understanding why someone is behaving the way that they are behaving. And so that goes back to what I said before, as far as like the money story of how you were raised, what were you taught about money. And a lot of times, just depending on your socioeconomic status or your minority status. Like a lot of us are not financially literate. So sometimes when couples come together, it's good to take, which is not a bad thing. You just have to understand where you learned that lesson from. And then you can kind of take the path to either continue on that path if you guys are okay with it, or reconstruct it if you guys are not okay with it.
Nice. Well, awesome. Well, that's definitely a good start to our visit from Miss Candice Waller with True Counseling. Absolutely. I haven't mentioned it yet, but I will. Future Dr. Candice Waller with True Counseling. We'll talk with her about a whole bunch more after this break. This is the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McClain, here with Andreas Ruiz. If you guys haven't been to veteranrescuemission.org yet, please do. We need all the donations we can get. We're trying to build a perfect world to help the homeless veteran.
Back to the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission on 1030 The Voice.
Welcome to the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by the Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Tristan with Pastor John McClain, Andreas Ruiz with his son, and Candice Waller.
Nice. Good stuff. You did great, man.
Yeah, he's got it.
You did awesome with the capital A.
Awesome with the capital A.
Capital A.
Yeah, definitely.
He's a diaper dandy.
As your Dick Vitale.
Dick Vitale,
yeah, good. It's beautiful, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll know.
Yeah, back in the day, back in the capital T.
Yeah, he's a announcer for high school basketball.
No,
college
yeah,
basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, he does, I think, a little high school as well, but primarily he's a big college basketball guy.
That guy was exciting, man.
He has a very unique voice.
Yeah.
We're trying to emulate it. Not even close. Not even close. Yeah, even remotely close.
Capital A.
Yeah, maybe Candice has a good Dick Vitale impersonation.
Listen, I have no idea who you guys are talking about.
Well, that's Candice Waller, also from the future, known as Dr. Candice Waller, here with us from True Counseling to tell us about, let's start off with, what inspired you to be a counselor? I mean, I'm sure that's a really cool story. I mean, because that's, be a counselor, that takes a lot of, it seems like it takes a lot of goal to be a counselor.
I just want to give all credit to my mom. She's the one who told me I should be a counselor. Yeah, she did. And I was like, get out of here. She was like, no, Candice, you should try it. And I was like, okay. And then, I don't know, it really, counseling chose me. I didn't choose it. It chose me. And listening to my mom's guidance, she was right. And once I accepted it, everything just kind of fell into place. I was like, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. This is my gift from God. So.
Do you feel like when you were little, or in your 20s or whatever, did people come to you and ask you for advice, or ask you for
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why I probably didn't want to go into counseling, because people always, I was always like selected to be. When I was in high school, for example, they introduced a new policy of like student mediation.
Oh, okay.
And so I was nominated by one of my teachers to be the mediator. So say if like a fight or some sort of like crazy discourse happened in the school between two students, they would come get me out of class to mediate between the two students. And so I was like, oh, okay. So it was like, that was kind of like the start of it. And then when I went to college, I was an RA and all of that. So we had to do certain kind of skills and stuff to become an RA, and it kind of worked out. So yeah, I mean, counseling definitely chose me. I didn't choose it, but I love it though. It's definitely what I'm meant to do.
So what you're saying is the game chose you.
The game chose me. Can't be mad at it.
With the mediation, how do you feel that's kind of like, does that Do you feel like that's kind of relative to counseling, or would you say like?
Yeah, yes, because you have to really understand like both sides and be able to kind of blend the story, because as we always hear, like there's two sides to every story and then there's the truth. So hearing the students at the time, because I was a student too, like I was in 9th grade or 10th grade,
dang, wow.
mediating like juniors or seniors who got into
cool.
a fight in the gym or something. Like, so in order for them not to be suspended, they would have to do a mediation, and then that's where I came into play. And so,
and they took you serious, even though
yeah,
you're like
there was a
younger
whole
than-
contract that everybody had to
wow.
sign, even myself included as like the official mediator.
That's cool.
Yeah, the parents had to sign it. The guidance counselors, you know, of the particular grades had to sign it. So yeah, it was a whole thing. And I was
Wow.
like, oh,
That's
okay.
wild.
Yeah, so it sounds like mediation was very helpful for you. I'm assuming you probably still use it to this day somewhat, right?
Yeah, especially with couples, you know, everyone a lot of times can be so stuck in their ways. And so you just kind of have to navigate ways to allow them to see the same picture and understand that they're going to see it differently, but agree on certain principles.
And then from that, so you chose counseling. Thankfully, it found you at a young age,
yeah.
so you were able to kind of go down that rabbit hole and put several years. How many years actually have you put in to kind of pursue this dream so far?
I don't know. I guess my bachelor's is in psychology, so I guess since I was 18, I started college and majored in psychology and got a master's and all of that. So I've been a counselor officially for probably about 10 years. 2012 was when I graduated with my master's and was an official counselor. But I've been studying for it since I was 18. So
I didn't necessarily tell you to tell people how old you were.
I didn't
but
tell
just-
anyone how old I am. I know I sound young, but they can add, I guess. I didn't tell them how old I was.
So for many years you've been
many years.
pursuing to be a counselor, and then it seems like at this point now you've decided to specialize on couples.
Couples,
Why?
yeah.
Why is that?
I just enjoy couples. I enjoy the dynamics. I think with couples, there's always a level of accountability that you may not have when you do individual therapy. So the people tend to keep each other honest, even if they're trying to do it out of spite, because it happens from time to time. But there's just a level of honesty that comes with couples counseling. And you're just being able to see the shift in the relationship or the energy between a couple, I think is very exciting. A lot of times they come in and they'll sit far apart, and then as we make progression, you can physically see them sitting closer to each other. You can see them touching in ways that they were not before. So I enjoy seeing that energy kind of blend.
Right.
Nice. So in regards to like when you first have people come in that they're maybe arguing and all that stuff, that they're not like, how do you feel like you mentioned something important there, like the touch and those conversations? How crucial are those for like a successful relationship?
I think it's super crucial. I know a lot of people say like communication is key, which it is 100%. But below that, if we want to take it just a little bit deeper, it's really the understanding of the communication. Because you can communicate all day, but if you're not understanding what the other person is saying, then the communication goes nowhere. So it's the understanding. And when you see people fully understand each other, you can see just the way they treat each other, the way they talk to each other. It will just naturally shift because they have a better understanding of what it means to actually work together and not just be two people that are together, because that's two different things.
So like the working together, it sounds like communication is important, maybe the touch, the intimacy, anything else that you could think of like to keep that?
Always, I think one thing I always tell couples too is like every day you wake up, try to choose your partner. No matter what happens in the day, just like I'm waking up and I'm making the choice to choose this person to be the person I want in my life. And so when you do that, you tend to find yourself being more in service to the other person. You may be thinking about them at lunchtime and grab them something to eat, or, think about, making the bed for them if they're normally the ones who do that. So you tend to find yourself being in more service, which typically helps shift the dynamics of the relationship.
So kind of like being of service to somebody as opposed to being of service to yourself and being selfish. Because do you often run into that where the reason why they're falling apart maybe is because the other person's more selfish, or and who usually is the selfish one? Is it the man or the woman? Or
I think it's not that they're selfish. I think it's just underlining resentment. So they're having like a battle that's not being spoken about. And so I don't think it's necessarily a man or a woman, because both, or it doesn't matter the sex of the couple, both people are viewing the relationship differently. So because of that, then they're behaving out of the way they're viewing the relationship. So once you get them on focus on what the goals of the relationships actually are, then you'll see the person actually making the shifts towards the goals, or you'll see them changing the behaviors because there is a goal. But when that's not there, there's just like two silos just living in a house together.
Interesting. So like that whole thing about like the underlining resentment, can you elaborate on that a little bit more, or talk about a little bit more about that? Like, what do you feel is the reason why people have so much that resentment?
Resentment can come from anything. It's so weird, because resentment is just like a little seed just planted, and then over the years it just kind of grows if it's not dealt with. But what causes a resentment is we really don't know, because what may bother me may not bother you, and what may bother you may not bother John, and vice versa. So because of that, that's why you always have to say communication is key, because you have to be able to express like, hey, you hurt my feelings, or I felt this way when you said this, because if it goes unspoken, that's where resentment comes. And the other person's just living